Hello everyone, my name is Sarah, and welcome to the third official video of the AWA, or the Amateur World Architects. If you haven't heard about us yet, you should probably go watch our first two videos on our channel by our lovely founder Joe, in which he explains all of what we're about and what our mission is with this project. It was a project that was just started a few days ago, and I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I'm super excited to be a part of it. Basically, I met Joe on Figment, which is an amazing site for aspiring authors, and we had read each other's work, and we were both fantasy writers. And so one day I had a comment from him in which he told me about this project that he was interested in starting, and I immediately wanted to be a part of it. And I've only been a part of it for a week now, and in just that week talking to the other people involved, I've already learned so much more, and I'm so excited, and I keep repeating myself, but that's just how excited I am about this. So I am a fantasy writer, and I am currently working on a book that I hope to get published someday. I'm 20 years old, and I'm an English major at a tiny little college in the Midwest in the United States. And I'm specifically interested in medieval literature, specifically medieval Europe and some classical Europe. Roman and Greek mythology is really interesting to me. And I actually hope to go to grad school after I graduate with my undergraduate degree. And hopefully I will be focusing on medieval literature. And then hopefully I'll be able to teach at the college level eventually after I get my PhD. So that's my plan. Currently, though, I have already started working on my first novel, which is actually the first novel in a trilogy that I've planned out. And I won't go into what all that is about, because then you won't need to read the book, which means I won't need to write it, which means this will kind of all be a waste of time. But it's got all basic fantasy stuff in it: a princess, the knight in shining armor, kind of. The kingdom falling to a crumbling foundation, dragons, it's good stuff. I actually have the first chapter or two up on Figment, and I will post that link down below. What else do I need to talk about? So writing for me has been like a huge journey that's pretty much taken up my entire life. I actually started probably as far back as elementary school. My mother was a stay-at-home mom, and she babysat two kids who eventually became two of my best friends. And we were all big nerds. We loved fantasy. We had all seen The Lord of the Rings, and we were all into that kind of stuff. And we were particularly fascinated with elves and the ideas of fairies. And so we would always play these games pretending like we were fairies and elves. And we all talked about how we wanted to write down our stories, and each of us wanted to write our own book. And eventually both of them just kind of let it fade away, and nothing ever really came of it. But I still kind of had these stories still stuck in my head, and I always told everyone that I was going to write a book, and I had all these scenes in my head, and I had it all planned out. And I would just spend all of my days through middle school and into high school just thinking up all of these stories. And I had this whole map in my head. I ended up filling 2 binders with all kinds of my writing, but I was never truly dedicated into putting it all into one piece. In middle school I actually tried, and I ended up with actually about 20 pages, which made about 4 or 5 chapters. And it was 11-point font and all single-spaced, and it was this massive project that took forever, and it was pretty much all crap by the time I was done with it. It was probably pretty good for a 12 or 13-year-old, but it's pretty embarrassing to read now. So I basically scrapped that whole idea, but I kept a couple of the characters who were actually based off of my 2 friends, and I kept some of the names that I had used that were kind of meant something to me, and the story just evolved and evolved more and more, and now it's a completely different story. but it's one that I'm satisfied with, and I've stuck to it for a really long time. So I have currently about 6 chapters that are not fully done, but I have planned out 6 chapters, and I've written most of at least 4 or 5 of them. So, and the first 2 chapters are on Figment, so you should check that. Like I said, most of my inspiration comes from my love of medieval literature and mythology and history. And then the rest of it definitely comes from reading Tolkien's work. I've always been a big fan of Tolkien. My father particularly loved Tolkien, and he always told us he used to read the books every year during the fall because that's when he felt like adventuring. And he used to have this huge Hobbit book that was all illustrated, and it's fantastic, and I have it at home. I don't have it up at school with me, but I remember when the movies came out, my dad was excited, and he sat down at his desk with the book, and I listened while he told me all about the story of the Hobbit. And then he took us out to dinner and told us all about the Lord of the Rings and pretty much told us the whole storyline. And then we went to see the movie, and I thought it was wonderful, and I loved it. And so then I couldn't stop, and I read The Hobbit in school, and so then I read The Silmarillion after 4 tries of getting through it. And so I was just pretty fascinated that he could create such a world like that. And although it also made me feel a little hesitant, because I've always felt like this is such a massive project that I'm working towards, and I just don't, it's hard to imagine that I could ever create something that huge and that complex. And that's what I'm going for. I've always told people that I do not write young adult. I want to write adult fantasy. I want it to be complex, and I want to create this entire world myself, and I just want to create my own world. And so I'm super excited about this project because it's already helped me immensely, and we just started making videos one day, but I think it'll be awesome, and hopefully we get to help a lot of other people too, which would be great. So leave any comments that you have, or friend us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page now, and we have Twitter too. If you use Twitter, I don't, but some people do. And there's 9 of us, so we'll definitely get back to you in the comments, and then hopefully we will even be able to get back to you in our videos too. So you can also leave us topics to talk about. I know we've talked about a couple topics we want to address in our videos already, so we're always up for more of that. And so I won't ramble on any longer because I've already gone over my time limit, although Joe will have to excuse me because he went over his time limit also. So so keep writing and keep watching our videos, and please leave lots of comments, and you can read my story if you want, but that's up to you. So, thanks.